Good morning, good morning, good morning. Happy Mother's Day to y'all. Happy Mother's Day. What's going on, everybody? How are we doing? Happy Mother's Day, man. You know, first and foremost, happy Mother's Day to all the queens out there, the warriors, the chaos managers, the peacekeepers, the one that hold the whole world together with a hair tie and a prayer. Before you step in here, wipe your feet, man. Hit that like button, please. Don't track no negativity across this clean floor. The wife just washed all the floors. So smash it if you're closing a junk drawer. That's too full, that's for sure. And listen, we continue to grow. Can y'all hear me? All right, we continue to grow because of you, the supporters, the day ones. For sure. Oh yeah, and the replay gang, for sure. And how can we forget about the comment section comedians? Shout out to y'all. This channel ain't jack without y'all, right? Y'all built this with me, brick by brick, stream by stream, laugh by laugh, for sure. Absolutely. I want to take a second, first and foremost, happy Mother's Day to my lovely wife, first and foremost. She keeps me going, keeps me grounded, keeps me sane. And this damn internet tries to take me out. I'm blessed, and I know it. Absolutely, man. Happy Mother's Day to my daughter, man. My grandchildren's mom. You know, my mom, my sister, you know, all the women in my life, you know, aunties, everybody's, you know, cousins, you know, shout out to the single dads holding it down. You too, y'all deserve the plate today as well, you know, but we're going to get into it. We're putting more eyes on the Eddie Obrien case. I don't think I ever felt more committed talking about the case, man. But if you haven't seen it yet, there's a website that breaks this case down clearer than a damn cop with OCD. I'm talking about the truthabouteddieobrien.com. You need to go over there and check that out, because that site is loaded. That site is loaded, minute by minute. There's timelines, suppressed evidence, witness contradictions, police reports, all types of shit. You know what I mean? Because we need to free Eddie Obrien. You know what I mean? Free Eddie for sure. You know, jury misconduct, grand jury inconsistencies. I mean, over 10 witnesses supporting Eddie's alibi, but they didn't want to talk to a lot of them people, man. It's right there, though, organized, it's documented, it's short, it's laid out. I mean, it's like a digital case file that's on point. You know, definitely. Absolutely, man. Shout out to Mr. O'Brien, man. Shout out to Mr. O'Brien, wishing him good health. He's in the chat, you know. But definitely go over to that truthabouteddieobrien.com, because when you start reading that, you start reading the BS that went on. And I got all them notes transcribed, by the way. I just got to pull them up on my computer. We'll definitely dive into that too. So if you have coffee, grab a snack, grab peas, or whatever. The whole truth and nothing but the truth. Even if the Commonwealth can't handle it back in 1995, man. And people, let's stop talking about 1995 like it's 1970. They had technology in 1995. It wasn't, it wasn't the Flintstone era. Come on now. Shout out to Generation X, right? Gen X? Is that what we are? Is that what we are? Gen X? Yeah, but shout out to Mr. and Miss O'Brien. I'm actually waiting for I got a free Eddie Obrien t-shirt coming. Shout out to Geraldine, Eddie's aunt, for taking care of that. And I can't wait to wear it because I'm definitely going to wear it. As soon as it comes in, the first stream I do, I'm going to have that on and I'm going to wear it loud and I'm going to wear it proud. Me and Wifey will share it. She'll wear it on her show and I'll wear it. Unless they send two. We'll see, But I'm just happy to even be getting an Eddie Obrien t-shirt. Absolutely. This is the one. But I love the website, the truth about Eddie Obrien. I'm going to pull it up just so y'all can see what it looks like. And I want to go over an interview with Margot Nash as well. Margot has been a big advocate for Eddie. But I think listen, people, the truth about this website right here, we'll start at the beginning. First, it tells you, it's a full statement from Eddie himself. And he said he'd like the public to know that he is innocent of this charge. I just can't say the word. We say red rum, schmurda, because they take away, my ad revenue. But it's okay. It's worth it. He says he's working with a team of lawyers, filing a new motion, and from what I understand, the end of June, the investigative part is all done from what I've read. And I think they are ready now. They're ready to file their motion. I would love to see Eddie with his parents on the other side of them walls. 30 years is too long. And I'll tell you what, little Eddie, I'll go to Disney with you. I'll go to Disney with you. Absolutely. Shout out to you. And now let me pull this website up. Let me stop talking over here. Let me stop talking. I'm kind of excited because I think Eddie has a really good chance. I think he has a really good opportunity. And there's so many things on that Rule 30 motion. That Rule 30 motion, you pack it full, pack it with everything you can. And I think just on the transfer rules, the juvenile, they changed the law to lock this kid up, and when they changed the law, they still left these people locked up in prison. What is up with that? What is up with that? So maybe now that, because they said that and I went over the Super Predator the other day about how they brought it into the 90s and it just didn't work. What is this? My other computer's all blue. There it is. Okay. Yes, please hit the like button. I appreciate it. I haven't had a chance to get to YouTube and pin my goals up there yet, but definitely, we appreciate the super chats. Maybe if I get enough of them, I could take, me and wife, we can go to Restaurant 99 later on, see if we can get my daughter to watch kids, but we'll see. We'll see if I get a few super chats. You know, the truth about Eddie Obrien, you know, we're going to break this website down a little bit, man. But first, I want to get this song up here. We're going to play a song that we put together for Eddie. You can charge me, but I'm not guilty.
Na, 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 yeah. Left my house feeling good, sun shining bright. So Tony G on the porch, just a casual sight. But then I glanced it down, it's dope wide ajar. I had to check it out, my heart racing like a car. I stepped into the entrance, felt the chill of the night. Heard some noise from within, never thought it felt so right. With the creak of the door, darkness feel like a wave. What I saw left me frozen, man, I couldn't be brave. You can charge me, but I'm not guilty. Caught in the moment, life's a little filthy. Wasn't ready for the shadows lurking near, but I hold my ground, got nothing to fear. I called out to Janet, but silence gripped my throat. My instincts kicked in hard like I'm on a tightrope. Bend down to shake a heart pounding like a drum. But what I saw next made me feel so numb. Blood on the floor like a canvas dread. Thoughts racing through my mind, what happened? Where's she dead? Caught in the scene like an actor in a play. Hoping that somehow I could just walk away. You can charge me, but I'm not guilty. Life's a battlefield, got my eyes wide, feel free. Darkness all around, but I still choose to fight. Got nothing to hide, stepping into this light. In the neighborhood, where shadows cast long. Every step I take feels like I'm doing something wrong. But I'm just a witness, caught in the strange view. Justice on the line, but what's a man to do? Finger pointed at me, but I can't take the blame. Standing tall in this arena, it's a twisted game. The sirens well outside, bringing chaos and heat. But truth is on my side, I won't accept defeat. Life's a rough patch, it's a turbulent sea. But in the stormy moment, I stand, I am free. No incriminations here, it's just a misunderstanding. But time will reveal truths, no need for demanding. So I keep my head high, I won't falter or bow. Charging through the thick air, stating here and now. You can charge me, but I'm not guilty. Caught in a whirlwind, but I stand gracefully. Life's twisted plots can try to bring me down, but I'm stronger than the shadows. Wear the truth like a crown. Na, na, na. Yeah. Left my house feeling good, sun shining bright. So Tony G on the porch, just a casual sight. But then I glanced it down, it's dope wide ajar. I had to check it out, my heart racing like a car. I stepped into the entrance, felt the chill of the night. Heard some noise from within, never thought it felt so right. With the creak of the door, darkness feel like a wave. What I saw left me frozen, man, I couldn't be brave. You can charge me, but I'm not guilty. Caught in the moment, life's a little filthy. Wasn't ready for the shadows lurking in, but I hold my ground, got nothing to fear. I called out to Janet, but silence gripped my throat. My instincts kicked in hard like I'm on a tightrope. Bend down to shake a heart pounding like a drum. But what I saw next made me feel so numb. Blood on the floor like a canvas dread. Thoughts racing through my mind, what happened? Where's she dead? Caught in the scene like an actor in a play. Hoping that somehow I could just walk away. You can charge me, but I'm not guilty. Life's a battlefield, got my eyes wide, feel free. Darkness all around, but I still choose to fight. Got nothing to hide, stepping into this light. In the neighborhood, where shadows cast long. Every step I take feels like I'm doing something wrong. But I'm just a witness, caught in the strange view. Justice on the line, but what's a man to do? Finger pointed at me, but I can't take the blame. Standing tall in this arena, it's a twisted game. The sirens well outside, bringing chaos and heat. But truth is on my side, I won't accept defeat. Life's a rough patch, it's a turbulent sea. But in the stormy moment, I stand, I am free. No incriminations here, it's just a misunderstanding. But time will reveal truths, no need for demanding. So I keep my head high, I won't falter or bow. Charging through the thick air, stating here and now. You can charge me, but I'm not guilty. Caught in a whirlwind, but I stand gracefully. Life's twisted plots can try to bring me down, but I'm strong. stronger than the shadows. Wear the truth like a crown.
Oh, all right, man. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Shout out to Mr. O'Brien, man, hanging with us today, man. Wishing the best for Mr. and Mrs. O'Brien on this Mother's Day. And I know they're probably not always the best, but I heard y'all got 8 grandkids. We got 8 grandkids, man. Ain't that a blessing?
Absolutely.
You're definitely blessed. The O'Brien family is blessed, man. Just curious. I can't see Mr. O'Brien. I just know Mikey. I know he was in the chat. He was in the chat earlier. He might have stepped out, but yeah, he was definitely here at the beginning of the show. But I'm sure he'll be peeking in, man. Shout out to him. You know how these chats work. Love how we can see everyone even on all. Shout out to Oxy. You know, always supporting my show, supports Wifey's Facebook page. You know, so big shout out to everybody holding it down. How y'all doing today? Happy Mother's Day to all the moms out there. You know, some people wonder, who is Eddie Obrien? 30 years is a long time. You know, some people probably forgot about it, you know, but if you go over to this page, man, you'll see that Eddie was only 15 years old when he was arrested. He's been incarcerated for over 30 long years. And a lot of people probably say, why wait 30 years? You know, it's not easy to get lawyers, and I know that the O'Brien family went through a hell of a lot of money on the first attorney that basically probably did nothing. Definitely did nothing. You know, no fingerprints matching were found at the scene. You know, at the Truth About Eddie Obrien website, there's so many witnesses that support his alibi, but the Somerset police, they didn't care about that. They didn't want to talk to the Rectory family, you know, the neighbors who was living next door. Wouldn't you think you would want to talk to the people that are tenants? You know, 30 years is a life for some, absolutely. You know, absolutely. Definitely a long, long time. You know, but when you're looking at this website, you know, it has a minute by minute reconstruction of July 23rd of 95. I mean, minute by minute. And there's receipts. How many when given 30 crash out upon that Senate? Like 30 years is a long time. And I think, you know, I think it's about time Eddie comes home. We don't talk about keeping it real, we live it. Absolutely. Absolutely. And we definitely do, you know, and like I said, when I came back into started doing this, I'm not here to make friends with creators. You know, there's a lot of great creators out there, but there's a lot of crappy creators out there, and they're not in it for the right thing. Yeah, you know, I mean, I don't know about other people, but me, I have a full setup here, and I put a lot of money into doing this, you know. I got equipment galore, you know, so yeah, so we do this, and we appreciate the super chats and the memberships, but there's a lot of creators that just are out here for evil reasons. You know, happy Mother's Day, everybody, absolutely, you know. But when you look at some of these independent witnesses, you know, David and Ann Lee from the alibi, you know, and how about Ryan Downing's inconsistent testimonies, you know, and I heard some other stuff about Ryan, you know, and Yeah, sometimes we definitely gotta suss out the real. And there's a lot of evidence that they never told you about. Oh, shout out to Miss Trisha OB, who's in the chat. But this website, man, this website is totally unbelievable. And after you go through this website, if you're not convinced that Eddie Obrien was set up totally from the jump. The other day, I explained to you the super predator laws, how they came out with that, and they were totally bull crap. It was politically led. Even the guy that came out and started the whole BS said he was wrong. Well, guess what? When they changed the laws, how about the people that were in prison because of the laws? At the very least, Eddie should have at least, had juvenile correction, if anything. If you're going to lock him up at all, he should have had juveniles. He should have got rehabilitated. Instead, my opinion, Riley threw him to the wolves, thinking that the system was going to eat Eddie Obrien up. And from what I see, Eddie made prison better. I see he's part of a lot of these, lifer groups. He had an initiative to, something to do with the visits, so Eddie stood tall through 30 years. God bless him, because that's a dark, lonely place. And the other podcast I did about how the family is also doing a life bid right along with Eddie. And I can only imagine, how many times, mom is thinking, what did I do? How did we go wrong? But it wasn't you. It was the system. It was that dirty ass system. It was a prosecution that refused to test other possible suspects. The denial is documented. Come on now. I mean, you didn't want to test anything after Eddie. Why? Because if you tested after you found out that the testing on Eddie wasn't right, you couldn't test anyone else, because then you would have to admit that you screwed up. Right? But this stuff is the shit that makes you sit back and say, how did this case even make it to trial? And like Todd McGee said the other day, once you stop investigating, it all starts going wrong. Eddie has started many programs for all inmates, not just for himself. Absolutely. And that's why I said Eddie absolutely made prison better. Shout out to Eddie Obrien, man. And Riley thought he was going to throw Eddie to the wolves. And Eddie went in there, ministered to people, made prison better, started programs. And I know guys knew. That's amazing. All he did, Mr. and Mrs. Obrien, you raised a great boy, man. And I know you guys know that. But listen, how about the credibility issues with Mr. Eddie Ortiz, who I'm sure is lurking around? How about Paul Darwin? How about his statements? And that stuff's all in this website. The inconsistencies of Paul, his testimony, the video about how he's saying how Eddie wants to watch people under. I think you said it, Paul. So... And Ryan, man, there's a lot of things about Ryan, that didn't come out. It's just so many suspectful things. And how about Virginia Reckley? You don't talk to the neighbor. You don't talk to Gina. Every one of them has contradictions. Bob, how about Bob Pino? And I heard something else about, there might have been somebody actually contaminated the crime scene. And I have his name somewhere here, and when I come across it, I'll let you all know. But the jury never heard the full picture. The juror misconduct, that's also in The Truth About Eddie Obrien. Well, if you go over here to the timeline, you have interviews, Paul Downing Jr.'s grand jury testimony given to the grand jury at 8 p.m. compared with the 8:30 p.m. testimony for significant inconsistencies that were never addressed at trial. About 8 o'clock, yes. And did you go into your house? Yes, I did. For what purpose? To grab a bite to eat. And did you grab something to eat? Yes, I did. That's pretty much it. That's all he said. Now, at some point that evening, did you leave to go to Revere Beach? Were you with his sister Jean? Yes, I was. And was your sister Erin gone for the night? Yes, she was. Where was she going to the concert? Great Woods. And at some point, he came back. Then when you go to the second one, what did you eat? A lollipop, I think it was. Wait a minute, kid. You went into your house to get something to eat, and you got a lollipop? And it took you, 30 minutes to get a damn lollipop? And when you left, where was your mom? Lying on the couch. Was she sleeping? Yes, she was. Did you go out the front door? Yes, I did. Did you shut it? Yes, I did. Did you get into the car? Did you see where Eddie Obrien was? He was on his porch. Was your mother alone? She was. And you left the house. Were the lights on or off? But there's so much in here. The John Roberts letter. Eddie leaves home confirmed by family. Definitely take it upon yourself to go to this website. Check it out. It includes some documentation on juror misconduct. That's some. Let me show you where that is. So you go over here to evidence. I know this whole site up and down now. You go over here to evidence. Right here, this block, juror misconduct. This is a voir dire examination by the court. Let's see, where's the start? Here's where it's going over the names of the people involved. And right here, Paul Downing Sr. of Wilmington, right? You see it highlighted. So court officer, juror 6-6. All right, sir, you raised your hand. To what question or questions? Having contact with the district attorney's office. All right. What did you do? You had contact with the DA's office while I was prosecuted for DUI. I see it here, 95. Yeah, in this county? Yes. Were you convicted? Yes. As a result of that, does that somewhat affect your ability to be fair and impartial in this case? Not at all. No. Against the government because of your conviction? No. The answer is no. No. Okay. Is there anything else you raised your hand to? No. There's nothing else. Nothing else, huh? Let me ask these additional questions. Have you had any exposure of any kind to the news media, TV, radio, newspaper? Keep your voice up, please. And when is the first time you remember any exposure of that kind? And when it happened, I saw it on the news. Have you seen anything or heard anything about it in the news media since that time? The only thing that I remember was they were trying to get the case from juvenile to the regular court. So you recall something about that. That's all this guy remembers. And I think when you come down, whatever it was you were exposed to, related to us, is that going to in any way affect your ability? Let me further ask you these questions. At the time of the alleged incident in this case, the defendant was 15 years old. He's now 17 and being tried in this court as an adult. Do those facts in any way affect your ability to be fair, impartial juror in this case? No. Does the fact that Tom Riley himself is handling this case, and that's another funny friggin' thing. Your ability to be fair. But let me tell you, a long story short, right? This man never said that he worked with Paul Downing Sr. And a witness ends up making a phone call to a former lawyer and, and either phone call or passes her a note and tells her, that juror 6-6 knew Downing Sr. I mean, the juror misconduct is crazy. Listen, the most important part, I think, about this website, right? Let me see. The most important part is right over here. You go, let me see if y'all can see where I'm at. Oh, no, you can't. God damn. Give me 1 second. I thought the website was up there. My bad. I was going to total another screen. Now, let me get this banner down because the banner, you really can't see it. Oh, 10 gifted memberships. What's up with that? Thank you very much. We definitely believe in your son. Let me get the banner down. Let me find the banner. There we go. Okay, and let me get that little, that down, that box. Okay, yeah, that's much better, right? Okay, right here, all the way over, when you go to the Truth About Eddie Obrien, you go here to the orange Help Now tag, right? This site ends with a call to action. You sign the petition, share the story, support the legal fund is probably the most important thing. And above all, because we want to bring Eddie home. So it brings you to this page right here. Help bring Eddie home. Absolutely, right? Because 30 years is too long. Especially when the evidence, the real evidence, tells a different story. So right here, you can donate to Eddie's legal fund. Right now, it's at $1,270. And hopefully, if y'all can do it, everybody's tapped right now. But filing a Rule 30 motion requires legal fees, expert witnesses, forensic reviews, so every contribution goes directly towards Eddie's defense. Now, I'll be straight up. Mr. and Mrs. O'Brien showed up on the stream today, but I never spoke with them. I think I might have they commented on a Facebook message, but so nobody's asking me to do this or anything. This is me doing it on my own. And if you can give, definitely give. Definitely give if you can. I mean, it'll go a long way. If you can sign the petition, you can go right here. You press the button. You sign the petition, and what that does is that'll bring you over here to the change.org page. And you go down and you look for the Eddie Obrien petition, if it's still up. Anyway, I don't know if it's still up, but it should be still up. But you go over there, you sign that petition, and that's a wrap. We could help get Eddie home. Get him one step closer to being home. That's something that we definitely have to do. Because being locked up 30 years for something that you did not do is just crazy. So everybody help bring Eddie home. Absolutely, man. But if you want to understand why this case probably still haunts, if you want to know why people are fighting for Eddie, I think the documents the jury never saw that they should see. Go over there to this website, man. Absolutely. TheTruthAboutEddieO'Brien.com. Everything's right there. The contradictions, timelines, the suppressed details. Look, it isn't about guilt or innocent anymore, right? This is about the truth. Justice. Janet got justice. You know what I mean? For justice for Janet. Janet got justice. She got 30 years. But there's a kid who never got either. He never got justice. How about justice for Eddie Obrien? How about justice for that? How about the allegations around Detective Famimo? Was I even reading that? Somebody sent me something? Detective Famimo? Am I saying that right? Yes, absolutely. Free Eddie. R.I.P. Janet. R.I.P. Janet all day, every day. You know what I mean? Yep, change.org. Definitely go there and support that. And thanks for the 10 gifted memberships. Nice. Thank you so much. People really appreciate that. That is what's up. And Eddie Obrien gave us $9.99. Thank you. Look, babe, I think we're going to restaurant 99 today. We got $9.99. Let's go. Shout out to everybody, man. But yeah, I start reading, and we're stepping into one of the most controversial corners, of the Eddie Obrien case. There's allegations, right? The rumors. The whispers, the side eye. I'll tell you what, the Somerville street talk that's been floating around lately that I've been able to find. A lot of people do support Eddie's case. A lot of people think that, he got screwed over. Let me say that clearly. Everything I'm about to talk about is alleged claim by community members, repeated in conversations on Discords, discussed publicly. But the impact, I think, of these allegations had on the perception of the case, that's real. And I think Karen Reed helped a lot of people open eyes, right? Because in community conversations, about the Eddie Obrien case, one name pops up, maybe not over and over because, it's the first, don't pop up as much as Adi, because Adi's always around. Adi is always lurking, man. Detective Charles Famimo. I was hearing, not saying what he did or didn't do. I ain't saying what's true or false. I'm just saying what the streets are talking about. And I don't know if it's true or not, but some old timers are saying, that Famimo contaminated evidence, that he lost evidence, that he used this case. Oh boy, I just seen a $50 Chris, yo, shout out to y'all. Freebird Forever One finally caught alive, and on my special day, happy Mother's Day, Freebird Forever. And to Mrs. O'Brien, free Eddie. I am new here, but love this channel because I believe in Eddie. Absolutely, man. Free Eddie till it's backwards. Absolutely. Free Eddie till it's backwards. And thanks for the 50 spot, man. Bless you. Bless you. But from what I'm hearing about the detective, Famimo, and I'm not sure what's true about this, that the contaminated evidence used the case to climb the ladder. For me, am I saying his name right? Famino always was a problem. I don't know if this is true. I know these are allegations. I'm already being sued. God forbid. Hey, they can't get blood out of a stone, I'll tell you. I told the guy suing me, I said, you're suing me. My credit score is like a negative 1450. What are you going to get from me, buddy? But good luck. But for so many years, this name keeps coming up, and it's becoming part of the case. Even from what I'm understanding, the mayor, his name gets thrown around into these conversations, also claiming he said things about the detective's reputation. Now, I don't know what's true over there in Somerville, but this is alleged, unverified community chatter. But the people in Somerville, are sending me some emails saying, you gotta talk about this detective. This detective is grimy. I say, hey, I'm most of them. It's like that joke when they knock on the door. Yeah, who is it? It's detectives. Who you with? I'm with my partner. What do you want? We want to talk. We'll talk to each other because I don't talk to cops. But the fact that these allegations exist at all, they tell you about the trust level people had in this investigation. Look at the evidence problem, right? One of the biggest reasons that these allegations gain traction at all is because the case itself had evidence issues. Does that sound familiar? Karen Reed, Michael Proctor. Evidence issues. Evidence mishandled. Where the hell have we heard that before? Eddie gets positive emails from all over the world. I'll tell you what. When I wouldn't have really known about this with JFK and stuff, when JFK brought this into our world, I didn't really know about Eddie Obrien and stuff, and they did so many episodes, and I'm glad they did because I was really eager to jump into it and see what is going on over here. Look at this. This is insane. It is insane how much can be kept from the jury. So much, the whole truth and nothing but the truth. Nope. You know, my daughter's 12, and some people say, you know what? I never even my older kids. I never sugarcoated shit for my kids growing up. I let them know the world is a horrible place, you know, and there's gonna be people out here that are gonna try to screw you over, and that's why my girls are so smart, man. My daughter Jenna, she's smart. I raised her right, you know. She knows a bullshitter when she sees one. And I tell my kids, the world's a bad place, you know. You kind of got to be smart. And I taught my kids, if you ever have a situation with the police, don't say nothing. So my 12-year-old, you know, she says, Dad, my friend at school said that her mom told her how to call 911. I said, oh, that's nice. What did you say? He said, my dad told me what to say if the cops ever come. I said, and what's that? He said, don't say nothing, and I want to call my parents. Absolutely. Rule 32B, absolutely, man. I actually did some episodes breaking down what's going to be in the Rule 30, and I'm eager to see if I am right about how much stuff that I believe. I mean, JFK wanted to battle Jay Brill, wanted to do a I said, I'll challenge you, because I believe wholeheartedly that Eddie Obrien, you know, is innocent. You know, I'll debate you why I think that, you know, Eddie Obrien, you know, should be free and why he's not guilty. You know, but there's corruption everywhere. There's corruption everywhere. You know, but when I heard that items were being contaminated, items never made it to trial, is that true? Items, and we know there was testing that was never done, and that's something else you can see in that. Adi swears to God, they tested my blood. I said, no, Adi, just because they took your blood don't mean all the testing was done. Thank you, another $5. Happy Mother's Day to all the moms, including pet moms. Absolutely, man. My daughter in there has 2 pets, and don't you damn tell her that they're not her kids. You know, so shout out to all the pet moms as well, because my daughter will be up and down your side if you tell her that them cats are not her kids. You know, shout out, man. Absolutely. Well, is that true? Items never really made it to trial? Unreal. You know, how they were mishandled. We know things were never tested. And when you have a case with no fingerprints, right? Unidentified blood, identified but unidentified, denied DNA tested, right? Contradictory witness statements, and a 15-year-old defendant. That is like right there is insane. People start asking questions. And when people start asking questions, they start looking at the investigators. But this case, no chain of custody. We heard that before. Absolutely no. We heard that before. It's a disgrace. You know, and that goes to show when they want you, when they want to put you away, it don't matter, because if they want you, they're going to get you. The corruption begins going back to 1620. She said the Mayflower. Oh, wow. She went way back in the day, going back to Plymouth. But just more allegations floating around in the community. Camino, they were saying, used the Eddie Obrien case to climb the ranks. And people say that the case was high profile. Ed O'Brien all have an army of prayer warriors, absolutely. And they have a bunch of people working on the case, getting the case law, and when a case is this big, you know, and thank God we have, people, places like this that we could talk about it. Not constantly. We're gonna keep talking about the Ed O'Brien. I told people this is a pro Eddie O'Brien channel. Eddie was absolutely Riley's agenda. It was his white Cadillac. It was his stepping stone. Did the investigation chase the truth, or did it chase the spotlight? And we know Riley chased the spotlight. Riley and that no good governor. But the fact that people are still talking about this 30 years later tells you the investigation left a lot of folks uneasy. But what did he do? He had the whole community petrified, did he not? You seen the size of that funeral mass? He had the whole community afraid, and that's another thing. The what do you call it? The Amitrol serum. And people don't mind me, man. I've been up working all night long, drive delivering them Dunkin' Donuts all night, so y'all can go there and eat that nasty ass food. I think it's called Amitrol or something. Yeah, that truth serum. We're gonna talk about that. And he passed both of them tests. Like, you ain't telling me. But sodium amytal. Exactly. Thank you, sir. I was reading up about that actually. So yeah, and especially a 15-year-old boy, man. Like, you ain't gonna pass the polygraph test, the sodium amytal test. That's not happening. And when people start questioning the integrity of their conviction, but everybody's afraid. Riley got everybody scared to death. And that's why Eddie's case is still alive today. And this is why people are fighting. And this is why the system makes me sick. When you're on the other side of them walls. When you're in them walls, it's the darkest, loneliest place. It's gladiator school. But real recognize real. You know what I mean? If you stand up for yourself, people ain't gonna bother you. Isn't it crazy that they wanted to hear from the one neighbor but not Gina? How crazy is that? They were just doing everything for their agenda. Pin it on the boy. Absolutely. Where did we hear that before? Pin it on the boy. Pin it on the girl. But this is why people are fighting, right? And this is why the website like this exists. So definitely go check out that website, please. That's why the Rule 30 motion is coming. And what's a Rule 30 motion? I told you all what it was. Maybe it's a my bad. It's a chance for, all right, let's get everything in. Let's pry everything open, everything we could find, and throw it in this friggin' motion. Everything you could get. Both sides of the paper, everything in the kitchen sink. And this is why the community is not letting this go. Eddie, I heard there was a band that moved on your street, and you asked them why they didn't cover the Beatles. Is that true? A band moved on your street, huh? And there's another neighbor over there on Boston, that was really a big, really rooting for Eddie. Used to call Eddie a teddy bear, a big teddy bear. But when investigations like this, right, become part of the controversy, imagine being 17 years old and being sent to Walpole State Prison. I was 21. I mean, it was not 17, but I was 21 and when I went to Rhode Island Department of Corrections, maximum security. And when I walked in there, the castle, the coldness, the loudness, the echoes, and I could imagine being 15 years old. I mean, even 15. I know he had some lonely nights. But imagine being 17 and going to a place like Walpole. Now, from what I heard, that there were some stand-up guys that were from Somerville that took Eddie under their wing, and kind of showed him, and looked out for him because they know he was getting screwed over, But I could only imagine the lonely nights, like your heart is broken, you're 15 years old, what poor Mrs. O'Brien went through. Where's my baby? I want my baby. My son reminds me of a 15-year-old Eddie Obrien. My son's now older, but he looks just like Eddie. Absolutely glad those that took care of him and called him off limits. Oh yeah, because the vultures were on it. The vultures were out. But certain people in the joint demand that much respect when they say no. It's no. But it's the only thing that place respects is the violence. Everything. The only thing they respect is the violence. But when you stand up and they say and they see that, you're kind of like not causing any trouble, you'd be all right. You'd be all right. Yep, and there was another neighbor. I got an email that said that his friends were convinced that he did it because Ryan told them he did it, and that's why the friends ended up turning on him. It says Ryan, and the email also said that Ryan to this day spoke about conflicting stories about the night of his mother's murder. I mean, this is not me accusing him of anything, but some people, the email has been said that there was many different versions of what Ryan said about the night that his mom passed away over the years. I mean, I'm sure the kid was definitely in pain. I mean, if my mother, something like that happened, absolutely, but I don't think going around blaming Eddie was the thing to do, but there's been a lot of talk about Ryan. The stories were told, but if you haven't hit that like button yet, smash that like button. I really appreciate that. But if we slow it down for a second, because I want to talk about something real, something human. Something that sits in the center of the Eddie Obrien case, but it don't get talked about enough. And that is Ryan. We haven't really heard much about Ryan. Yeah, we are all very sorry and heartbroken for what the O'Brien family has been going through. And shout out to them. I mean, the O'Brien case really wasn't getting talked about at all, and I'm glad it is now. Because I hope it gives the family some comfort in saying, baby, there's a chance. Our baby's coming home. I'm getting excited. This case gets me emotional. I'm an emotional person. But I know if that was my mother and, like, that happened in my home, if I was a kid living through that nightmare, if I had to carry that trauma for the rest of I don't know how I survived. If I was locked up doing a life sentence, man, and something that I know I didn't do, That's just crazy. And Eddie just settled in and said, hey, it is what it is. I know what I got to do, man. I know I'm not getting out. And now there is a chance, man. So I want to honor that first, man. I want to honor, Eddie standing up like a man, not letting that prison break him, not letting the time break him, not letting it take him. If it's something that was supposed to tear Eddie down, because that's what that prison was supposed to tear Eddie apart. We all know that. Going in there at 15, going into Walpole, that was supposed to eat him alive. And what did he do? He made the prison better. Eat that, Riley. Eddie's like a prophet. You know what I mean? Was that God's plan? Was that God's plan for Eddie to minister to broken souls? To help broken souls? Sometimes I wonder about that. Is it a crazy place where we are here for a reason and things happen for a reason? Was that God's gift, Was Eddie a prophet? Real talk, But I want to get back to Ryan for a minute, because I think over the years, there's definitely big bonds between moms and sons, My sons, when they're feeling a sort of way, they call their mama, and ain't nothing they could do no wrong. But over the years, man, as Ryan told different versions of that night, I mean, not because he's lying, I don't know if he's hiding, maybe the trauma does that. I mean, memory under the shock, they say, does that. I mean, a 12-year-old boy in a horror scene does that. Seeing your mother, and the people around him, his friends, his circle, they believed what he said. Oh, Eddie did it. It was Eddie. Of course they did. How come when they seen Eddie come out of the bushes, they didn't go to the store and be like, dude, I just seen you. You were just coming out of the bushes. No, they didn't say that until when? The next day? I mean, he was scared. So Ryan needed someone to blame, so he told all his friends, where is the like button? It's a little thumbs up button. Shout out to Eddie, 1781, man. That's what's up. It's the thumbs up button, man. Shout out to you. The report from Officer Stephen Johnson says she did not have a pulse. When he checked, her carotid artery was first on the scene. Audie on JFK said she did have a pulse. Interesting. And I know recently Audie also, he always got to open his mouth. Absolutely. No, Eddie Obrien, thank you. Thank you and salute to you. Audie recently said some things about the hospital. Absolutely. He has lied over and over again. The cat hair, the dog hair. These guys offered him $2,000. They offered him $2,000 and he still wouldn't come and talk, and I'm like, don't give him that kind of money. You have to leave the chat to find if you haven't found it yet. We'll hit the like button for you. People forget I was there before the cops after Ryan called me over. And how horrible that Mr. O'Brien, they put him on the witness list just so he couldn't be close to his son. You know, that was horrible. Some horrible shit too. They needed someone to blame. Yeah, you was there. You know, he needed, and Eddie was probably the closest, easiest, most convenient target. You know, and Jay Brill has said, you know, Jay Brill has said that Eddie confirmed to him that it was Audie that was in the house. You know, didn't Audie say he spoke to Ryan while Ryan was in the police car? Yeah, in between rolling up joints to go smoke with juvenile, you know, kids. You know, so yeah, so it's been told to me that, you know, Ryan told multiple different versions that night made by Ryan. Downings, they're never going to come on these platforms and talk. They're never going to come on these platforms and talk. And O'Brien, it's an honor to be here. Freeing Eddie is number one important. Thank you for being here with us. Absolutely. And the more we talk about things, the more stuff is going to come out, you know? So let's just keep talking. Maybe, you know, keep investigating, you know? So just everyone keep doing what you're doing. And again, I ain't saying that to attack Ryan. I'm saying that to show you how complicated this case really is. You know, even what Eddie's seeing something that horrific, the brain is not recording a documentary. You know, it was trying to survive. Eddie was trying to get up out of there. And that's why I don't think Eddie's the one to blame. You know, not because anyone wants to choose sides, not because, you know, you got to ignore the pain, but because I went through the truth about Eddie Obrien. And I'm convinced. When you look at the evidence, when you look at the timeline, I'm convinced. When you look at the forensics, look at all the inconsistencies. When you look at the fear-based politics of 1995, and I'll say it again, I'll go to Disney with Eddie Obrien. If other people said don't ask me to go to Disney, I'll go to Disney with Eddie Obrien. Absolutely. I'll stand side by side with him. You know, you start to see a different picture. You start to see a picture where traumatized boys pointing at the wrong picture. A picture where the system ran with it. A picture where the truth got buried under panic, under pressure, and under politics. So y'all gonna give me a minute. We be right back, we promise. Yo, check out this one, Storm Unleashed. Let me know what you think.
Yeah. Them the tree they tried to bury. Yeah. I'm the storm. Yeah. I'm the storm they tried to bottle. The truth they tried to drown. 15 years old, they threw a king's weight on a child's crown. But I rise like a riot, like a siren in the night. And I'm calling out the dude who's been ducking the light. Name's Art Ortiz. Yeah, that fraud. Moving like a shadow puppet pulled by a coward god. Every time the block shake, he the first one to vanish. Moving like guilt, wearing sneakers, sprinting off in the panic. I'm like, why you always running when the truth get loud? Why your footsteps echo different from the rest of the crowd? You slither through the alleys like a rumor with legs. But when the questions start flying, you crack like eggs. I was sick on the porch, whole hood saw me chillin'. You was creeping through the dark like a plot you was feeling. You a ghost with a heartbeat, a whisper with shoes, a silhouette sprinting off, dropping half-baked clues. I spit metaphors heavy, you the fence jumper phantom, the backyard bandit, the night shift random. You the type to leave footprints, but swear you ain't walk. The type to hear your name whispered and pretend you ain't talk. I'm the kid they tried to bury, but I grew like a vine. Truth climbing every wall, exposing every design. You the dude in the shadows, ducking every spotlight beam, moving like a glitch in the neighborhood dream. This ain't an accusation, this a lyrical rig, a metaphor for every grown man who let a child bleed, for every dude who stayed silent while a kid took the fall, for every shadow in the night who ain't stand up at all. So fictional art, so listen, I'm the storm you can't dodge. I'm the truth in the alley, I'm the ghost in the lodge. I'm the voice of the timeline, the pulse of the street, and every lie you ever told get exposed to the beat. So keep running and hiding, but you can't escape truth. So relentless tide, your facade's gonna break. I'm the storm, I'm the light, I'm the echo, the fight. And when the beat drops down, you're gonna feel me tonight. Yeah. Yeah. Na, na, na. Listen up, I got a story to tell about the strong women who raised me well. Yo, I grew up in a house full of queens, strong women teaching me to chase my dreams. Saw my mom grind, juggling, working home. Taught me respect, made me feel less alone while you flex your muscles, thinking that's power. I learned true strength in the toughest hour. You swing fists, you think that makes you a man, but real warriors protect, they don't need a hand. Yeah, it's respect over aggression, that's the game we play. Real strength comes from the heart, it ain't just a display. For every queen that raised me, I honor they fight. In a world full of chaos, I'm just seeking the light. My grandmother's wisdom, it echoes in my soul. Treat women with respect, that's how you roll. You think aggression's a sign of your might, but a real man knows how to stand up and fight. For those who can't, for those who are weak, instead of throwing punches, have a heart when you speak. Yeah, it's respect over aggression, that's the game we play. Real strength comes from the heart, it ain't just a display. For every queen that raised me, I honor they fight. In a world full of chaos, I'm just seeking the light. You're a king now, you ain't got the throne. Real kings uplift, they're not out here alone. In a world where ego rules, I stay grounded and true. Building up my circle like my mother's taught me to do. So listen close, this isn't just art, it's a testament of strength, straight from the heart. I'm a product of queens, respect in my veins. Let the legacy live on through joys and the pains. Yeah, it's respect over aggression, that's the game we play. Real strength comes from the heart, it ain't just a display. For every queen that raised me, I honor their fight. In a world full of chaos, I'm just seeking the light. Listen up, I got a story to tell about the strong women who raised me well. Yo, I grew up in a house full of queens, strong women teaching me to chase my dreams. Saw my mom grind, juggling, working home. Taught me respect, made me feel less alone while you flex your muscles, thinking that's power. I learned true strength in the toughest hour. You swing fists, you think that makes you a man, but real warriors protect, they don't need a hand. Yeah, it's respect over aggression, that's the game we play. Real strength comes from the heart, it ain't just a display. For every queen that raised me, I honor they fight. In a world full of chaos, I'm just seeking the light. My grandmother's wisdom, it echoes in my soul. Treat women with respect, that's how you roll. You think aggression's a sign of your might, but a real man knows how to stand up and fight. For those who can't, for those who are weak, Instead of throwing punches, have a heart when you spit. Yeah, yeah. Disrespect over aggression, that's the game we play. Real strength comes from the heart, it ain't just a display. For every queen that raised me, I honor they fight. In a world full of chaos, I'm just seeking the light.
That song right there, I wrote that for where I grew up. I was like in a house full of females. My mom, my grandmothers, my aunts. My uncle was doing, my uncle was in and out of correctional facilities. You know what I mean? So, and my grandmother, every Saturday, we used to take the bus down city, so that's basically goes to, you know, all the strong women in my life, they raised me, the women were gangsters in my family, not the men so much. The women were gangsters in my family, both my grandmothers, ran numbers, but I pinned the Eddie's fundraiser. It should be in the YouTube chat. Let me know if it is. I pinned that. Shout out to Irish Rose. Come on in. What's going on? Happy Mother's Day. Absolutely, Mr. O'Brien. Enjoy your day with your family. Shout out to Freebird. Thank you for the 50 piece. Thank you so much. I want to get into that. Thank you for the $9.99. Eddie O'Brien gives us $9.99. Thank you. And Miss Luscious 10 gifted memberships. Look at that 10. What's up with that? We got to start doing something for the members. We got enough members where we're going to start doing the lives, and shout out to Freebird coming in with the $50, finally catching a live. And Miss Luscious again with the $5, and Auntie Geraldine, $1.99. We're waiting for our t-shirt. We're gonna wear that proudly.
Absolutely.
We're gonna wear that proudly, man. Shout out to A to B with the $5. Coming in very, very strong today. But y'all want to listen to some of Margot Nash's interview, that she was doing. I was listening to it earlier. Many good wishes to Eddie and his family. Absolutely, man. Free Eddie. Free Eddie every day. Free Eddie till it's backwards, is how I say, right? Free Eddie till it's backwards. 30 years is a long time. And I say either way, you need to let your boy out. You know what I mean? It was said in another room that if Eddie did this, should he be out? And they said no. And I was like, why? There's people, I know people that did stuff in 2000s and they're already out. Like, he did his time. He showed that he wasn't a menace when he was locked up. Now look at a kid like Craig Price. Now they said Craig Price was a psychopath. And in prison, Craig Price showed, yes, he was a psychopath. Eddie, they said the same thing, right? But he wasn't a psychopath in prison. So we're going to dive into something that connects directly, to Eddie Obrien. The 90s and the way the justice system treated kids like they were monsters. Give that a minute to load. Now, you're probably not going to hear the guy asking questions too much. He just has a very low voice. Come on. So yeah, Mago Nash, the altar boy, a deep dive. Was it true that Ryan asked Eddie to be the altar boy for his mom's funeral? Like, I don't even think that's what I heard. I don't even think they believed that it was Eddie at first. You know, they knew it wasn't Eddie. They knew it wasn't Eddie. They know it wasn't Eddie. They know still it wasn't Eddie. And if you've been following the Eddie story, you know it wasn't Eddie. And you already know why all this smack. All right, there we go. There we go. There we go. My bad. I had to reboot everything. My bad. You know, everything just ended up dying on me. Everything just went out. I was like, darn it. All right, so give me a minute. Give me a minute. Mikey, be right back.
Na, 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 yeah. Left my house feeling good, sun shining bright. So Tony G on the porch, just a casual sight. But then I glanced down, his door wide ajar. I had to check it out, my heart racing like a car. I stepped into the entrance, felt the chill of the night. Heard some noise from within, never thought it felt so right. With the creak of the door, darkness feel like a wave. What I saw left me frozen, man, I couldn't be brave. You can charge me, but I'm not guilty. Caught in the moment, life's a little filthy. Wasn't ready for the shadows lurking in, but I hold my ground, got nothing to Called out to Janet, but silence gripped my throat. My instincts kicked in hard like I'm on a tightrope. Bend down to shake a heart pounding like a drum. But what I saw next made me feel so numb. Blood on the floor like a canvas dread. Thoughts racing through my mind, what happened? Where's she dead? Caught in the scene like an actor in a play. Hoping that somehow I could just walk away. You can charge me, but I'm not guilty. Life's a battlefield, got my eyes wide, feel free. Darkness all around, but I still choose to fight. Got nothing to hide, stepping into this light. In the neighborhood where shadows cast long. Every step I take feels like I'm doing something wrong, but I'm just...
We're going to bring you the reading. How about that? The reading of Politics and Murder, brought to you by Lala. Okay? You all want to hear Politics and Murder, a reading? Lala did the first 4. She did the first 4 chapters. She probably did the rest of it, but let's check that out.
I love that you're listening at work. Why work at work? TV covered the trial in adult court gavel to gavel, calling it the altar boy murder case. But did the justice system fail Eddie? That's the contention of the author attorney Margot Nash in her explosive expose, The Politics of Murder, the Power and Ambition Behind the Altar Boy Murder Case. Appointed Eddie's guardian at, my friend told me how to say this, litem. I probably just ruined that. Nash attended every court session and eventually gained access to all his files. Now, after painstaking research and examination of each step of the investigation, trial transcripts, and the forensic evidence, Nash makes the case that Eddie could not have committed the crime and that other viable suspects were never properly considered. The Innocence Program has recently taken on Eddie's case. Now readers can decide if politics sent an innocent boy to adult prison for the rest of his life. Margot Nash was a trial lawyer for 29 years, litigating both civil and criminal cases in Massachusetts. The Politics of Murder, her first book, reflects her passion for the courtroom. More importantly, it reflects her commitment to helping the innocent who are convicted by failures in the legal system. Can you guys hear me okay? Am I coming through all right? Oh, look at you, 7-8. There we go. Gen X. Girl, Gen X. Did I come through okay? Did you hear me okay? I don't have a microphone. I am not fancy. Do I look fancy? Oh, good. I'm glad you heard me okay. All right. I'm just going to... prologue. I'm so excited. I love to read. You guys are psyched because I love to read and y'all love to listen. So here we go. Prologue. Oh my God, there's so many chapters. And there's appendixes. Oh my God, there's so many appendixes. Oh my God. It's acknowledgments. I must read the acknowledgments. Acknowledgments. Y'all want to hear the acknowledgments? I'll read them if you want to hear them. If you don't want to hear them, I'll go straight to the prologue. I'm doing this for you, so you guys tell me. What would you like? Acknowledgments or prologue? You tell me. Approved by the local bar association to accept court appointments at reduced fees. We were, if you will, private public defenders. The program was necessary because there were never enough public defenders to meet the demand. Through the same program, I also served as a guardian ad litem. I know I'm saying that wrong. I'm so sorry. Thank you. In various courts in the Boston, Somerville, and Cambridge courts. I received a telephone call that October from the Somerville District Court asking me if I would accept an appointment from Judge Paul P. Heffernan. Heffernan, that's a great name. To act as guardian ad litem for Eddie Obrien. Guardian ad litem literally means guardian for the proceeding. GALs, gals, oh, I'd rather say that, that's so much easier. Gals are often appointed in parental custody disputes, where they're expected to advocate for the child's best interests, which are not necessarily the child's expressed desires. Pause. Forgive me, I have tenants that are leaving the house, exiting stage left. We're gonna let them do that. I love my tenants. They're awesome. Like the best ever. He's a baby face. Oh, wait. Pull up my sleeves. Get into this now. Here we go. Even the truth couldn't. Eddie Obrien fell directly into a political maelstrom brewing since 1991, the year after I graduated high school. Lawmakers and politicians were waiting for a case like this to come along, and Eddie's case became that catalyst that changed juvenile law in Massachusetts and sent children to adult prisons for the rest of their natural lives. It also catapulted political careers and perverted the orderly administration of justice that we'd all once believed in. Not anymore. I've remained involved with Eddie and his parents over the years he's spent in state prison, serving a life sentence. He is middle-aged now. He has gray hair and a wonderful sense of humor. He is such a good man, a spiritual man, a forgiving man. Quote, I don't need that kind of drama and negativity in my life, he frequently says. I'd rather focus on what's positive. If his cell block has been locked down because of a fight or a shortage of guards, he shrugs. This is prison. It happens. There's nothing I can do about it, so there's no point in getting upset about it. During those long stretches locked up in his cell, he reads, watches news programs, writes letters to friends, and works on his case. Eddie doesn't trust easily, especially lawyers. Once burned, twice cautious, he spars with me over legal theories on his case, about which issues are the most important to appeal, about whom he can and cannot rely on for help. Eddie does get angry sometimes with me, his siblings, his legal team. He's a normal man with normal responses and emotions. He's no longer the complacent teenager who blindly believed that right begets might and the truth will set you free. In a recent letter, he wrote, before the trial, I couldn't wait for it to begin. I thought that I would finally be able to clear my name. But it didn't happen. Years after the trial, I'm still anxious to clear my name. No one who ever hasn't gone through something like this could ever have known what it feels like to want to clear your name. I'm not that 15-year-old boy who didn't understand what was going on anymore. I fully understand what I want and what I need to do this time around and what it takes. In 2015, Eddie and I spent a lot of time talking, reading old transcripts and putting the pieces of a fractured puzzle together. I cringe about having completely missed the big picture so many years ago. To be fair, the big picture took years to develop and emerge into a legible image. When these events were actually going on, I was focused on far more immediate issues: his detention, the integrity of the police investigation, his transfer hearings, the appeals, the removal of judges, and the central question, who really murdered Janet Downing? Today, I finally understand what actually happened to Eddie Obrien and why he has spent more than half of his life behind bars. I can't, this is just so crazy. And here we go next. A note on my role as guardian ad litem. The appointment of a GAL, GAL, is a delinquency proceeding delinquency proceeding is rare. In Eddie's case, the Commonwealth intended to call Eddie's father as a witness. Since his father was listed as a witness for the prosecution, Eddie's lawyers, Ralph Champa and Maria Curtatone at the time, felt he needed a gal to act as a neutral parental advisor to him. They asked the court to appoint me. The Commonwealth never called his father to the witness stand, and looking back, I'm sure they never intended to do so. That's wild. It was most likely part of a strategy to divide the family and further isolate Eddie from everything he knew and loved in hopes that he would capitulate and admit to a crime he didn't commit. I'd totally buy that for $1. Although Eddie instructed his new lawyer, Bob George, two first names as a whole name, good Lord, Bob George, to keep me informed of developments and decisions in the case, Bob and I hardly spoke during his 2 years of representation. Eddie's parents were similarly uninformed, told that everything was fine and that they were in expert hands. Perhaps I should have pushed harder to be included in the decision making. I believe now that there was only one person making legal decisions for Eddie, Bob George. I don't think he shared decision making with anyone, not even the lawyers working for him. I trusted that Eddie's lawyer knew what he was doing. He was more informed in murder cases than I was. He was well known in the Boston area. I didn't question him. I should have. I know that now. I don't know if he would have shared anything more with me, but at least I would know that I tried to protect Eddie. My times with Eddie were limited. We attended his grandfather's wake, accompanied by 2 correctional officers. Eddie in handcuffs and leg irons. I saw him before the court day started, down in lockup for a few minutes longer if there was a delay. I often brought a second lunch to him to compensate for the lousy food the detainees got in the courthouse lockup and to remind him of home. We talked when the sheriff didn't take him directly back to the Plymouth Correctional Facility at the end of the day. I visited him at the juvenile facility in Plymouth and at the Cambridge jail where he was housed during his trial. I sat through his psychological examination by the Commonwealth's expert, Dr. Donald Condy. I think I knew him as well as an adult non-family member could. Eddie was emotionally and psychologically a young adolescent. He clearly did not understand the proceedings or the gravity of what was happening. He got angry when a witness lied, but he didn't understand how that lie might impact him. He was grateful and happy to see friends and hear them say good things about him in their testimony. He didn't understand their testimony would never affect the outcome. He was excited when the FBI profiler testified at his transfer hearing, someone who had written a book. Eddie talked about that a lot. He didn't grasp that this was really a bad development in his case. Our talks revolved around the lies witnesses told and how his lawyer caught the lie. He completely believed in Bob George. Eddie never thought for a minute that he would be convicted of murder. It was inconceivable to him. He hadn't killed Janet Downing. He had nothing to hide. He couldn't be convicted because he didn't commit the crime. His grandfather was a cop. Cops were good guys. The truth would come out eventually. I went to counsel's table during breaks in the proceedings to put my hands on Eddie's shoulders. I wanted to show everyone, including the TV audience in news reports and later court TV coverage, that I wasn't afraid of him. Often he and one of the lawyers would be playing hangman or tic-tac-toe on a yellow pad in front of him. Eddie would be giggling and fooling around with them. I never saw Eddie take one note during those 2 years. He was either engaged in a game with someone on the table or was staring off into the distance, a blank look on his face. I'd say, "What did you think about what Dr. Such and Such said?" He'd have replied, "Oh, I wasn't listening then. She was really boring." He was a kid. His life was at stake, and he understood very little of what was happening around him. I didn't understand everything that was happening either. I didn't have access to DNA and blood evidence, documents, police reports, the very things that with hindsight show the truth and the extent to which the Commonwealth, went to obfuscate the truth to win this case. Hold on, make sure I didn't skip a page. Hold on. I want to make sure I didn't skip a page. Oh, I got it. Eddie wrote in June 2016, "I had trust in my lawyers, that they were doing the right thing by me. From the first day my parents hired Bob George, I felt that he had my best interest in mind. Before the trial, I couldn't wait for it to begin. I thought that I would finally be able to clear my name, but it didn't happen. I thought that I was going to take the stand and be able to speak for myself and defend myself. But then Bob George advised against it. He felt that the Commonwealth didn't prove that I was guilty, and he didn't want me to take the stand. On his advice, I didn't. In hindsight, I came to believe he only cared about the money and the publicity he received from the case. It was like he gave up after the transfer hearings and couldn't wait to get rid of my case. I didn't see it at the time, and he could have done so much more, especially since he promised me so much more. A tsunami of politics, incompetence, and misconduct was swirling around him, and Eddie Obrien was thinking, when this is all over, I can't wait to get home and play street hockey again." And here's another picture of Ed O'Brien in 2014. Wow. Chapter 1, Just Another Sunday. Eddie O'Brien's alarm went off at 6:30 a.m. He would go to work by 7, Today, he would put the Sunday newspapers together at the neighborhood variety store across the street from St. Joseph's Church in Union Square in Somerville, his hometown. Eddie had been working at the store for about 2 years. He got ready for work. He had no other plans for the day. It had been a difficult summer so far in the O'Brien home. His father, Papa to Eddie, was home from a month-long stay in the Somerville hospital. He had late-stage lung cancer. Oh. Papa refused further treatment or second opinions. He just wanted to go home. Papa's room was the former dining room in the modest single-family Victorian house on Boston Street. Just the week before, on July 16th, 1995, Eddie's parents had thrown a party for Papa's 80th birthday. All the neighbors dropped by because Papa, also known as TJ or Chief, was a fixture in the neighborhood. He'd lived in that same house for 36 years, through 2 marriages and a long distinguished career as the Somerville Police, with the Somerville Police. He had retired as chief the same year Eddie was born. The family took the opportunity while Papa was in the hospital to clean out the attic. It was filled with boxes of things Papa had accumulated from his years with the Somerville Police Department. His youngest son, Ed, Ed's wife, Tricia, and the 3 children that they had then, Jeannie, Eddie, and Jessica, had moved into Papa's house in 1985. But this was the first opportunity they'd had to sort through things. Among the files and papers and ledger books they found, there were also guns, swords, knives, old billy clubs, police badges, and all the pins that had decorated Papa's old uniform jacket. It was a treasure trove to a 15-year-old boy. Eddie packed them into a box and brought them across the street to his friend Ryan Downing's house to show all his friends. This was a group of approximately 6 boys who hung out together, often at the Downing home. Ryan was Eddie's closest friend. They'd known each other since they were toddlers. The guys passed the knives and clubs around and imagined where they came from and what they'd been used to do. That Sunday in July 1995, Eddie worked all morning at the store with Walter Golden, the owner, and Walter's son-in-law, Frank Kling. He got a ride home from his sister Jeannie. He brought copies of the Boston Globe and the Boston Herald for his parents and a big Tootsie Roll for his 3-year-old sister, Mary. He went back to bed and slept for a few hours. It was a hot and humid summer day, hovering around 85 degrees, and the house was not air-conditioned. Eddie got up, ate a sandwich, and watched TV until it was time for the 5:30 Mass at St. Joe's. He told his parents he was going to church and left with his sister Jeannie and her friend Paul Downing, Ryan Downing's twin brother, and they dropped him off in Union Square. When he got to the square, Eddie saw Frank Golden, Walter's son, working at the variety store and went in to chat instead. The store was a familiar and safe place. Even when he wasn't working, he liked to go there and read sports magazines, hang out with his coworkers, and have a cold drink and a snack. Most of Eddie's friends dropped in to midnight at MID-NITE, it's the name of the store, at some point in their day. He left the shop around 6:30, stopping in briefly at the park to talk to some friends. After that, he headed home again, running into Ryan Downing and 2 of their friends, Joey Dion and Chris Ford, outside of Ryan's house. The boys went into the Downing home and hung out until almost 8 p.m. when everyone but Eddie left to go swimming in yet another friend's pool. Eddie didn't want to join them. He was sensitive about his weight. At 15, he still had the chubbiness of a pre-adolescent. He wasn't even shaving yet. Eddie joined his father and 3 of his sisters, Jessica, 12, Mary, 3, and Megan, the baby, out on the O'Brien's front porch. A neighbor, John Roberts, stopped by with his baby daughter and 2-year-old son, Timothy, to chat. Eddie's grandfather was in the house. His sister Janine was out with Paul Downing. His mother was out. It was getting darker outside. Eddie was thinking about going to his friend Garvey Solomon's house. Garvey had called earlier to see what everyone was up to. He did not want to go swimming either and said that he was going to stay home. Jeannie pulled up in her car with Paul Downing and told her father that they were going to change and go to Revere Beach for a swim. Paul went into his house, and Jeannie came up to the O'Brien house. Eddie stayed outside in the street talking to Michelle Cameron, another of Jeannie's friends who was waiting for Paul and Jeannie to get ready for the beach. The 3 left for Revere Beach at around 8:30. Eddie returned to the porch and then went into the kitchen to get some popsicles for Timothy. At about 8:45, John decided it was time to go home. Eddie put the 2-year-old on his shoulders and walked him across the street to his house. Then he went back and rewound and restarted a Disney videotape for toddler Mary in the living room. At about 9:15, after listening to the radio for a while in his room, Eddie decided to grab something to eat at the Burger King in Union Square, then go to his friend Garvey's house. On his way out, Eddie glanced over at the Downing house, wondering whether Ryan and the others had returned from their swim yet. He decided to check in there on his way down the hill to Union Square. That decision changed the course of his life. Wow. That's I need a sip of tea. I need a sip. I literally could sit here and read this whole book. I'm not going to. I will break it down, but oh my God.
All right, sound check. My bad, my bad. Bad service today. Absolutely. Bad service today. Yeah, George was obviously corrupt. George basically, had a race to get Eddie to jail. George almost beat Eddie to friggin' prison. Mikey, we got no sound. No sound. Oh, no. Hold on. Let's see. Mic check, mic check. Hello, test, test, test. 1, 2. Can you hear me? You got sound yet? We have sound now. Oh, we good. We good to continue to talk about Free and Eddie. And like I said, go check out the Truth About Eddie Obrien website. I'm gonna bring that shit back up right now. We'll have to finish the book another time. The internet's just not agreeing. The shitty computer isn't agreeing with me. So we can go over this a little bit. Sound is great now. Let me get this situated and
Just a witness caught in a strange view. Justice on the line, but what's a man to do? Finger pointed at me, but I can't take the blame. Standing tall in this arena, it's a twisted game. The sirens well outside, bringing chaos and heat. But truth is on my side, I won't accept defeat. Life's a rough patch, it's a turbulent sea. But in a stormy moment, I stand, I am free. No incriminations here, it's just a misunderstanding. But time will reveal truths, no need for demanding. So I keep my head high, I won't falter or bow. Charging through the thick air, stating here and now. You can charge me, but I'm not guilty. Caught in a whirlwind, but I stand gracefully. Life's twisted plots can try to bring me down, but I'm stronger than the shadows. Wear the truth like a crown. Left my house feeling good, sun shining bright. So Tony G on the porch, just a casual sight. But then I glanced it down, his door wide ajar. I had to check it out, my heart racing like a car. I stepped into the entrance, felt the chill of the night. Heard some noise from within, never thought it felt so right. With the creak of the door, darkness feel like a wave. What I saw left me frozen, man, I couldn't be brave. You can charge me, but I'm not guilty. Caught in a moment, life's a little filthy. Wasn't ready for the shadows lurking in, but I hold my ground, got nothing.
all right, we should be good now. So we back here checking out the truth about EddieObrien.com. Go over there, check that out. There's so much information on that website. There's not much that you won't be able to find. About that case, about all the fuckery that went on with the Eddie Obrien case, and what's bigger than this, and I hope we can put this to bed right now, with Eddie Ortiz that completely keeps saying, oh, they tested me. No, they didn't, Eddie Ortiz, they did not test your DNA. Your DNA was not tested. And shout out to shooting informants, not drugs. Always seen him in the chat over at JFK, over in the chat. What's up, man? Welcome. But Eddie's attorney filed a motion to compel the production of hair and blood samples. Of Paul Downing Sr., the ex-husband, Paul Downing Jr., Ryan, Carrie Ann, Adi Ortiz, right? The DA was in possession of the hair and blood already. He already had it. Eddie's attorney wanted to compare that shit, right, with hair, blood, and DNA found at the crime scene, right? So what does Riley do? The ADA jumps, oh, objection, Your Honor. No. The judge denied the motion to compel. Like, what? Excuse me, Your Honor? We can't have, are you serious? When a system is confident, it tests everything, right? But this system was nervous. So it started misplacing shit. And when a system is hiding shit, it suddenly becomes allergic to DNA swabs like they're friggin' pollen in damn May. Because the pot that you don't put in. Look, so here's the thing, right? Everybody loves a clean narrative, right? Prosecutors love it, reporters love it, right? The publics love it, but real life is messy, like a teenager's bedroom. And in this case, right, the mess started with the fact that multiple suspects existed. That's we can't deny that. There was multiple suspects, but within 10 minutes, oh yeah, Riley found his white Cadillac. He started licking his chops. It's kind of like in the real movie Natural Born Killers. Like when he becomes the devil, that's Riley. Like, yeah, want to get his teeth into Eddie. Like I said earlier, Riley thought the system was going to eat Eddie alive, but what did Eddie do? Eddie made prison better for other inmates, for the prison itself. The DNA, that could have confirmed or eliminated them, but it never got tested. Not lost, not destroyed, not inconclusive, denied, as in, no thank you, we're all set, man. We already picked our villain. We already picked out, we already know who we're setting up. We don't need no DNA. That's not justice. They ordered the outcome they wanted, and they skipped the rest of the menu. That's like DoorDash. Why would anybody avoid DNA? Why would anybody avoid friggin' DNA? DNA is the one witness that doesn't lie. And 1996, it wasn't 1974. It wasn't the Stone Ages. Maybe it wasn't as good as it is now. But this shit don't forget. It don't lie. It don't get intimidated, right? DNA don't change the story because someone yelled at it in an interrogation room. Shit don't change. It is what it is. But when a system and when a judge is in on the fix, refuses to test the DNA, then you got to ask yourself, what are they afraid of? What are they afraid of? Because if the evidence supported their theory, they'd be running that test faster than a prosecutor running to a press conference. And when that evidence might point somewhere else, suddenly everybody's going to act like DNA testing is optional, like a side of fries, because you knew that DNA was going to point to somewhere else. And then you bring in the stupid super predator era that we've been going over all week. Go check out the other shows. And let's not pretend the timing didn't matter. See, that was the era of the super predator. The myth, the racist, fear-mongering theory that said teenagers were mini monsters waiting to explode. We're going to have thousands of them all over the place. They're going to be everywhere. Come on, man. This was the era of the super predators, right? Once that label got slapped on a kid, forget it. The system wasn't looking for truth. The system was looking for a trophy, and that trophy was Eddie Obrien. You better believe it. You better believe it. Shout out to Freebird Forever for the $5. Big thank you. You know, but the trophies don't get DNA tests, they get convictions. Because here's the part that keeps me up at night. I mean, that's kind of, I drive all night, so I mean, I work. But here's the, I guess this is my night, and this is the shit that keeps me up, right? So it is right? So when you refuse to test DNA, you're not just risking the wrong person. Shout out for the $4.99 free Eddie. You know, absolutely, man. Thank you. Thank you very much. You know, but the DNA, you're not just risking the wrong person going to prison, which we have. I mean, Eddie O'Brien is the wrong person, has been in prison for 30 years. For 30 years, the wrong person has been locked up. And that means the victim never gets real justice. Janet got justice. Janet got 30 years out of someone that didn't do it. And the community never gets closure. And the system never gets accountability. So guess what? Everybody loses. Eddie loses. Janet loses. We all lose. The community don't get real closure. The system don't get real accountability. Everybody, except the people who get to say case closed and go home early. Oh, yeah, and have the big party. Oh, you're a big winner. This is why people fight for post conviction DNA testing. This is why. This is why innocent projects exist. This is why families don't stop pushing. Because the truth don't expire. Don't ever think the truth expires. Evidence don't get old. You just keep fighting. And justice just don't have a friggin' deadline. If the system was so damn confident back then it should be confident now. Run the test. Run the DNA. Let the science talk. Let the chips fall where they are. Let that shit, let the science, Shout out to Aunt Geraldine with the $4.99 matching free Eddie. Absolutely. We are stronger together. Free Eddie O'Brien. How about this? Let's talk about the neighbor. Let's talk about the neighbor over there on Boston Street a little bit. Another email I got was another one. I got some information about one of the neighbors. Let me see, where is it? There was a neighbor that actually lived next door from Janet Downing. And I think still lives there now. I mean, it isn't rumor, it isn't gossip. I read some comments about a neighbor that had some firsthand memory, that watched the case unfold from their own front yard. And what the neighbor was saying was that they saw Eddie earlier that day about 3 o'clock. They said they used to live right across the street from the O'Briens. They were outside watering plants for their mom. They said Eddie would stop by and say hello, and say that he was heading to the convenience store for work. He said he watched him go up Greenville Street right past my grandparents' house. I mean, that's not speculation. That's a neighbor watching a kid walk to work on a normal day. But, what he put down, as he said, he was there when the police arrived. They interviewed me because of how close I lived to the Downing house. I heard no screams that night, none, except Ryan's scream when he found his mom. A neighbor, feet away, windows facing the same direction, no screams until the moment of discovery. That's the kind of detail that never made the headlines. That never made court TV, never made the prosecution's narrative. And the neighbor goes on to say that I don't think Eddie did it. I used to call him Eddie the Teddy because he was such a sweet guy. And the neighbor said, I think he was a scapegoat. Eddie the Teddy, that's not what you call a monster. That's what you call a gentle giant. A kind, soft-spoken kid the neighborhood trusts. And that's a neighbor who lived next door saying, I don't think he did it. I mean, they lived the experience. They lived on that block. They went on to say they think the real killer was someone else, someone the neighborhood always whispered about. Is this making sense to people that are familiar with this? Someone that walked away from all it is and lives freely in New Hampshire. Oh, damn, who lives in New Hampshire? They said they don't want to name names, not accusing anyone, not pointing fingers. But for over 30 years, the people that lived on that block, the people that knew Eddie, the people that knew Janet, knew the rhythm of the street. And they've been saying the same thing. Eddie wasn't the one. And when people close to the truth are the ones questioning the official story, well, that's when you know something in the narrative never added up. Never added up at all. So I doubt the neighbor came forward for fame. They didn't write a book. They just wrote a post, a little blog. They didn't chase attention. They remembered their memory, paints a picture, and the Commonwealth never wanted to hang it on the wall. So they never forgot that picture. Eddie goes from a kid walking to work, a quiet night, to all of a sudden a monster. And how about luminol? Eddie had no blood splatter on him, nothing, 98 times, like really? This is why we keep talking, right? This is why we got to keep talking Eddie Obrien. Even people say, you're talking Eddie Obrien again? There's so much stuff to talk Eddie Obrien. Like, here's a man that's done 30 years for a crime that he didn't commit. And we're going to get to something else, that Eddie may have had a chance to come home already if he would have admitted to this. And if I'm not wrong, after 15 years, it would have been expunged. I don't know how true that is, but sometimes the truth isn't in the courtroom. Sometimes it's just standing on a porch, right? Watering plants. Watering plants, watching your neighbor The big Teddy, you called him. Teddy, Eddie the Teddy. Walking up Greenville for the very last time as a free boy. And that's what that neighbor remembers for the last 30 years. They remember that little boy walking up Greenville Street for the last time as a free boy before his life got sucked right from under him. You know, some of the most darkest, most painful parts of the Eddie Obrien story. Not the crime, not the trial, not the headline, but what happens after. What they tell a 15-year-old boy behind closed doors. What they dangle in front of him like a damn lifeline. What they tried to make him sign, right? Let's walk through it. Now, this is speculation. This is what we hear, right? We all know that Eddie was locked up as a kid, afraid, confused. You know what I mean? They drugged him up. You know, he was told something that would break most grown men. They said, listen, if you confess, you'll get out someday. If you write it down, we'll go over it. We'll expunge it in 15 years after you're released. Imagine hearing that. Imagine being told your entire future, write a lie on this piece of paper. Eddie refused then. He refuses now. Not once, not twice, not after years, not after decades. Every single time that conversation comes up to Eddie, he's like, I am not going to confess to this. They wanted him to write it out by hand. They wanted him to sign it. They wanted him to put his John Hancock on it and say he didn't do it. Yep, the O'Briens were here, man. Shout out to the O'Briens, man. Great, great people. And they told him what? That this is the only way you'll ever get out. And Eddie refused. Eddie refused. Margot Nash said Eddie will never admit to it. And I even said, what if they say, we'll give you time served, no more trials, and you plead out to second degree? You know, people close to Eddie thinks he won't do it. But for 30 years, man, through transfers, how did Eddie not tell his CAD company that he was going all that time? Matter of fact, right after, let me finish this. Shout out to 2 cents worth for the $4.99. The only person whose story changes all the time is Adi Ortiz, and I think Adi's story may have changed again. Let me see if we have this set up. You have sound over there? All right, yeah, you do. Okay. But you have the audio sounds. No sound? All right, I didn't think so. Hold on a second.
Yeah, yeah. Them the tree they tried to bury. Yeah. I'm the storm, yeah. I'm the storm they tried to bottle. The truth they tried to drown. 15 years old, they threw a king's weight on a child's crown. But I rise like a riot, like a siren in the night. And I'm calling out the dude who's been ducking the light. Name's Art Ortiz, yeah, that fraud. Moving like a shadow puppet pulled by a coward god. Every time the block shake, he the first one to vanish. Moving like guilt wearing sneakers, sprinting off in the panic. I'm like, why you always running when the truth get loud? Why your footsteps echo different from the rest of the crowd? You slid through the alleys like a room over legs. But when the questions start flying, you crack like eggs. I was sitting on the porch, whole hood saw me chilling. You was creeping through the dark like a block. You was feeling you a ghost with a heartbeat, a whisper with shoes, a silhouette sprinting off, dropping
If by the
half-baked
end
clues.
of your conversation with Carol, you knew that your wife was headed to the hospital, would you have known? I mean, why would
Well, he's
JFK?
saying he's answering it. He said, "I knew she was on the way to the hospital, but I didn't know what for." Exactly, you didn't know what for, but you knew she was on the way to the hospital for Janet, but you didn't know what for. Okay, fine. I understand that. So then,
when
why would you go? So why would she? So why would you go back to Janet's? So if she's telling you to go back to Janet's, so I'm trying to understand. She's telling you on the phone, "I'm going to the hospital because to check on my sister," but you go to Janet's, but she's giving you no context on what to go there for. But yet she knows, obviously, because she's going to the hospital for Janet. That wouldn't really make no sense. So why would you go there all the way back to Somerville? Carol didn't tell me what hospital, and growing up in the area, I know Mass General is the only one I can handle trauma cases like her.
So
Okay. Take a breather.
so
So now you go inside Gina's house. So how long after did you get to when you got to the scene? Not for Janet. So you didn't know she was going to the hospital for Janet, you're saying? But you would have to know. She said something happened at Janet's house. I'm going to the hospital. She would know who she's going to the hospital for. You wouldn't just walk in the hospital and say, "I'm here for something that happened at 71 Boston Street." You would have to have context of who you were going, who was going to, she was going to the hospital to visit or going to see. Right?
well,
Right? Let's stay there for a second.
his,
Right?
his comment before.
But he left the
you have
comment.
it highlighted right here. You have it highlighted.
Wait a minute.
It says
I
Carol
know
didn't tell me what
I know.
hospital.
JFK, my wife asked me to go to the house. I think you and every other husband out there would do the same thing I did. Yes, but you knew she was going to the hospital for Janet, though. She had to tell you she was going to the hospital for Janet. She just wasn't going to the hospital. I'm reading what's in the chat, Kevin. I didn't, because this one's the most important one, right?
Yeah.
Because that's the next thing we talk about. I'm just taking a breather about that one. JFK, my wife asked me to go to the hospital. I think every husband, yes. But wouldn't you want to know why she was going to want you to go there? If the reason why you would be going to Janet's house was for an issue, but the issue now is at the hospital. I don't understand. About 15 minutes after I got there, I went over to Gina's porch. She's the one that told me they just took
Janet
out, and I asked if I could use the phone, and about 5 minutes later to call the hospital. So within 20 minutes, you called your wife at Mass General on a guess that she was at Mass General. So when she was on the stretcher, did you know what happened to her? She didn't tell me it was Janet. So what was she going to say when she got to the hospital? She didn't tell you it was Janet. And why don't you feel, Body, that by always saying that she didn't say it was for Janet, what's the big deal if she did say it was for Janet? It's like when everything that comes to Janet, you backtrack off of. But so now you're saying within 20 minutes, but it takes you about 20 minutes to get there. So she hangs up the phone. Now keep in mind, how did your wife get to the hospital? How did your wife get to the hospital? Because that means your wife got to the hospital really fast. Did she have a car, Adi? You have no clue how your wife got there. You wouldn't have asked that question before she was going to. Did she have a car? I mean, I take it she didn't have a car then. If you're saying no clue, right? Right, Kevin?
I mean, if her husband drove cabs, don't you think she would have called you for a ride?
True, but if she had a car, wouldn't the first thing he say? Oh, she jumped in her car and she just went. What's the big deal if you keep telling me I should have gone to the hospital? I mean, I'm just trying to understand. So we're off that now, okay? You didn't go to the hospital. She told you to go to Janet's. Okay, cool. All right, fine. That's cool, Adi. That's fine. What's the big deal if you keep telling me? Keenan? Carrie Ann? Drove her to the hospital? Where was Carrie Ann living? Carrie Ann drove her to the hospital. What's the big deal if you keep telling me I should have gone to the hospital? He has no clue how she got there, he says. She did not tell me it was for Janet. About 15 minutes after I got there, I went over to Gina's porch. She was the one that told me. They just took Janet out, asked her to use the phone. About 5 minutes later to call the hospital. Carrie Ann. So Carrie Ann drove Janet to the hospital. How did you know that, though?
So Carrie Ann's Carrie Ann, in my eyes, is the one that told Carol.
All right, so Carrie Ann drove her to the hospital. So with the 20 minutes, she was living in Malden at the time, right? You guys were living in Malden? If you don't mind me asking, Adi, where were you living in Malden? What part of Malden was you living in? Were you living up by Salem Street? Were you living up by Linden Square? Were you living Maplewood? Was you living by Green Street? The Method line? More on the Everett line? Where were you living? Like, how deep in Malden were you? So that would mean it would take him 20 minutes to get there, right? It would take him 15 minutes to get there, right? She hangs up the phone. It's going to take 15 minutes for him to get there. So that means when she hangs up the phone on the landline, she gets picked up by Carrie Ann immediately because it's going to take Carrie Ann and her to get in the car, and they go right to the hospital, and they park the car. They find parking at Mass General. They leave the garage. They walk in, and they already have that information on deck that they know that she passed on near Maplewood. All right, so you was in Maplewood. You were up there, man. Maplewood to Mass General. And where did Carrie Ann live? Was Carrie Ann staying with you guys? Did Carrie Ann have to drive out to pick her up? What's up, Kev?
Nothing. I'm curious if she was living with. I often thought, Carrie Ann was the oldest daughter. She's probably Janet's firstborn. 2 sisters. Carol. She's probably new baby in the household. The bond between Janet and Carol when she had Carrie Ann was probably phenomenal. And
so Carrie Ann drove her to the hospital. Who watched Carrie Ann's baby? She had a baby, man. She had like a whole little baby. Did she take the baby with her? How old was the baby at the time? 1? How old's homeboy? I mean, but all that takes a process, Becky. The baby dad, maybe. Exactly. But this all takes a process. Like, if no one knows what happened, right? In a matter of minutes, all this happened. And the main thing why Adi doesn't like no one talking about this is because Gina said he knew too much information before the information was out. He claims, I can explain it. But the more and more he explains it, the timeline's real tight. And then as soon as you mention, hey, you talked to Janet, which he never said that before. Carol, saying that she was heading to the hospital. That was something new. That's brand new. That's breaking news. That's only like not even a week old, right? Kev. Now he's saying he knew she went to. She never said what hospital she was going to. So not only did she say she was just going to the hospital, she never mentioned what hospital she's going to. She never told him what hospital she was going to. So now your wife is saying I'm going to the hospital, and you don't even ask what hospital she's going to. That's pretty wild. If your wife says to you, I'm going to the hospital,
he kept saying not for Janet. I didn't know if it was for Janet.
So he doesn't know what hospital. He doesn't know what hospital she's going to, and she don't know why she's going to the hospital. He just knows something. He just knows something happened at Janet's house. So she's going to the hospital for whatever happened at Janet's house, but he doesn't know what hospital. So then he says, but then he said for trauma, he knew to call Mass General.
And my question is like,
and how did he get the Mass General number? Did he call 411?
You would think you would think that Carrie Ann would want to go to her mom's house and check on her brothers or her other sister. You know what I'm saying? Something just
Well,
happened to Carrie Ann's mother.
You think they would have told you what hospital you're going to, just in case you do go back to the house and you grab Ryan and Paul. You know where you're going after.
And
meet me over here at Mass General.
And back then, you know, the conversations on a phone call back then in '95, you were asking those questions because you didn't have that option to just pick it up and like say, "Hey, I forgot to ask you." You know, like we do today. You'd have to stop at another fucking payphone, fucking, you know.
Or if she leaves the house and she's already gone, now you're left guessing.
You're fucked.
The question is, why'd you fly by? Why, so you guessed that she was at Mass General. Like, what exactly did you say to this operator, like to the emergency room? Like, hi, my name's Eddie Ortiz. A woman just got stabbed on 71 Boston Street in Somerville. I'm the brother-in-law. I'm looking for my wife, Carol. Is she there? And they said, hold on, let me check. They did all that. They just. And then Carol got on the phone. Who got on the phone? Was it the doctors who told you that she passed on, or it was Carol? He said got on the phone, right?
Yeah.
But see, that's the thing. You're talking about 20 minutes. So keep in mind, Gina said the ambulance just left, right? So now you got to understand, if the ambulance just left, the ambulance is going to take 15 minutes from where they're at to get to Mass General. Then they got to bring her in the OR. Then they got to work on her. Right? So that's gotta happen, right? And then Carrie Ann's got to pick up Carol, and then they got to drive to Mass General from Maplewood. And then it takes you 15 minutes after that phone call to get there. So how did that all happen? That's a tight timeline. Considering you said before you got there around 9:45 and 10. And here's another thing, like you said, Adi, if that's the case, the ambulance was already gone. The ambulance left at 10:23. So the question is, how'd you make it all the way up Hamlet Street if it was a crime scene? They let you drive all the way up Hamlet Street. So if that's the case, then everybody would have seen you driving up Hamlet Street, right? They would have seen you pulling up Hamlet Street. Like if you would have came after, like I said, that would have been after she left. That would have been around 11:15. That would have been after everybody took a breath, and then headlights would have been coming up the street. They would have seen you get out the cab, right? And then the question is, you're talking about them putting the yellow tape up and all that.
There would have been blood on your tires.
There would have been blood on your tires.
All four of your tires.
Like they didn't block off that whole house. And you mentioned something about the yellow tape. He said when he pulled up, he seen the yellow tape, right?
Yeah, from growing up in the city, that he knew when you seen the yellow tape, you knew what it meant. You knew
what did you say? You said the yellow tape wasn't up yet, right?
Well, whether or not I don't know whether it come off like that, but you know, we know that the crime scene investigating unit from the Massachusetts State Police didn't arrive till later on that night.
No,
so
we're not.
Local PD could have.
See, Adi, no, we're not twisting it up, bro. We're not twisting it up. That just doesn't make sense. So I'm trying to ask you, how am I? Listen, Adi, honestly, bro, I'm sick of these people doing this to you, man. I'm sick of people saying that you did this shit. I think that this dude, Eddie, could be manipulating everybody, and he's got everybody believing it. But for order for me to make that claim and to step out there and put my name out there and say, hey, I checked all the boxes with this dude, Adi. This dude, Adi, didn't do it. You can't keep doing what you're doing right now. You guys are twisting my words. Have a great freaking night. Well, you ain't doing me no justice. I done flipped. You see what I've been talking about, Eddie? I've been calling bullshit on him all week. But now I'm saying to you, why? How did Carrie Ann get Carol? Explain that. Was she living with him? Let's go back. Let's calm it down. Let's go step by step. Did Carrie Ann and Carol live with each other? Go ahead, talk to me, Kevin. Let's keep conversating.
Yeah, I mean, you know, when I think about it, and I brought this up to you before. I said to you, I think one morning I texted you, who told Carol? Who told Carol to initiate her to call Adi? Adi had said previous, Carrie Ann.
Yep.
So did Carrie Ann go to Aunt Carol's house and say, something happened at my mother's house? Or, so now we're thinking someone called Carrie Ann, and now Carrie Ann wouldn't go to her mother's house. She's going to go to Aunt Carol's house.
That's why you Kevin Kev 781 on the Cash App.
You know, I mean, and you know, Adi, you know, I get it. I get it. You must get a headache sometimes.
Yeah. And he has a right to. 30 years of these people screaming and yelling. I mean, I don't want to be that guy. I get it. He feels like he's being attacked. But he also got to see that I've been getting his back, though. Have I not been getting his back behind the scenes? How much
Yeah.
have I been getting his back?
Yeah. I mean,
I don't like being
plenty of
manipulated.
times that JFK has told me, Kev, like, really? So you're telling me that this whole fucking family got something to do with this?
Exactly.
This whole fucking family
Right. That shit don't make no fucking sense, bro.
just want to do a race Janet?
Yeah, for what?
For what?
And then you seen the funeral, how beautiful that shit was. That shit don't make no sense. And I feel bad because I don't want to be out there on the streets, you know what I mean? Like at a bar one night and someone says, hey, you JFK? And I go, yeah. And they go, hey, you know, Janet was my cousin. And you're a piece of shit. You know, that dude did that to my cousin. And you keep fucking saying he didn't. He did. You know, I don't want to be that guy. I want to be the guy who debunked this shit. To be like, listen, man, you know, you guys wanted someone to speak on it. You wanted someone to talk about it. So we did. And there is, you know, whether either you like it or not, there is a way that he should have a new trial. There is a way. I see the way. I see that position. And by law. But by morally, if he did this shit, no, he should be where he's at. But by law, he has a way out. And he got parole. He's going to see parole every 5 years for the rest of his life. And they're going to keep doing that until the family keeps fading. So, like, you know what I mean? The parole hearing comes up and there's not 30 people there. There's only 5. There's only 2. And he's 70. But he'll still get a shot. He'll end up getting out. Even if he doesn't beat this case, he'll end up getting out if he did it. But Adi, you got a lot of questions, man. I mean, you know what I mean? You didn't get, we have a lot of questions and you don't need to do anything. But I don't understand where you don't see where we're not trying to help you, you know, because the more and more you don't speak, the more and more it looks like you were there at that time and that you're a third party culprit and you're going to remain that third party culprit and everybody's going to name Adi because they're going to think, hey, this 50-year-old teddy bear. It's the narrative, right? Did the brother-in-law who think about the narrative? The narrative is the brother-in-law is scary. He did all these things. Investigate. She kicked him out the house. He had the motive. That's the narrative, right? The 15-year-old kid blaming on the kid, right? And here you are, got the chance to make it all right. And what do? You twisted my words. Have a great freaking night. Come on, Adi. God bless you, though, man. I understand. I do. I'm not gonna, you know. But still, answer. I'm done. You need to talk to the DA for answers. Late. You will hear from what? I'm done. You need to talk to the DA for answers. Yeah, but I don't think the DA has them answers, cuz. Did you ever get it? Did you ever write a statement and show the dispatch? A statement from your dispatcher saying that she called? What did he say? The DA, then he put me? What? Answers you will hear from me. Yeah, but the DA don't know this. The DA didn't know you went in the house 4 or 5 hours after, right, Adi? You never told Riley that you went in the house to get a kitty litter box, did you? Right, Adi? Do you think if Riley knew you went in the house to get a kitty litter box, you think he'd be happy about that? You not disclosing that information to him? And do you not think that if they knew you went in the house to get a kitty litter box, because he would have to give that over to the defense, because that's how it works. So let's did play ball. And he gave over. You don't have to use that in court against you. He wants to get a kitty litter. But at that time, what would you have said, Adi? Would you say you went in 4 or 5 hours after the kitty litter box and the kittens? Or would you have switched it up and said, no, you wanted to get the dog food? And then you would have said, no, I just wanted to get the kitty litter box. And then it was in the kitchen, remember? Which means you had to walk through the dining room to get it, which means you had to walk right through where Janet Downey was found. Adi, you forgot about that part? Did you forget about that? Because the DA doesn't know about that, does he? You never said that part, right? You forgot to tell him that. Keep quiet, Adi.
This is it, this is it, this is life, the one you get, so go and have a ball. This is it, this is it, this is life, the one you get, so go. This is it, this is it, this is life, the one you get, so go and have a ball. This is
Well, there you have it again. Adi Ortiz switching up his friggin' story. Once again, Kara was a domestic violence victim. She likely questioned nothing because she didn't want to be hit. I mean, how many females side with their man over their family? Sometimes it happens, especially when you're a DV victim. You try to make yourself the smallest target. Absolutely, this channel is 100% without a doubt, a pro Eddie channel. And absolutely, we will go to Disney with Eddie.
Absolutely.
You know, we are 100% free Eddie. Yeah, well, absolutely 100%, free Eddie O'Brien, you know. Um, but here's the part that hits hardest, right? If Eddie had confessed, even falsely, he probably would have been out by now. Absolutely. He would have had a release date, right? He probably would have had a reentry plan. He would have had, a path home, but he refused to lie. He refused to say the words that they wanted. Why did the cop takes Eddie's blood from the hospital to the house in his pocket? If he wasn't listening earlier, I actually let me see if I still have it up here. There was a detective named let me see. Give me a minute to go through my notes here. There was a detective named I think Farino that said that he contaminated the scene, allegedly. Yeah, here we go, right here. There was a lot of conversations going on in the Somerville community about a detective Femino, Femino, that contaminated evidence. He lost evidence. He used the case to climb the political ladder. And they said Femino was always a problem. These are allegations, they were saying. They said these allegations, though, been for years. They became part of the case. They said even the former mayor Joe Curatone name gets thrown around in these conversations. People claiming that he said things about the detective Femino's reputation as well. So yeah, there has been talk about a dirty cop contaminating the crime scene. One of the biggest reasons that this shit gained traction is because the case itself had evidence issues. We know that.
And there's another cop called Evan Joe.
Definitely had evidence issues, but listen, y'all, I appreciate everybody today, but y'all know I work late at night, so gotta get some rest. Worked all night, came right home, wanted to come on here and talk some Eddie O'Brien. Shout out to Eddie O'Brien, until it's backwards, basically, until Eddie O'Brien is free, is a free man, free on the street with his family, where his dad gets to, welcome him with open arms, where he gets to, welcome his father with his son with open arms. That'll be something, man. That'll be awesome. That'll be awesome. You know, that'll definitely be awesome. But I'm looking for something before I go. But appreciate everybody who might have sent in a super chat today or, gifted memberships. We'll go over that in a minute as well. But we're going to get into some closing music. Y'all know we got to close it out. This one goes out to the great members.
the skies. Every comment, every laugh keeps the vibe alive. You're the heartbeat of the chat, yeah, we thrive. Pulling up each night, ready to roll. You make this place lit. Body and soul, vibes in the back. Heavy lifting, they don't play. Keeping it smooth, watching traffic every day. Peacekeepers on alert, holding down a fort. Crew full of love, every stream they support. To the chat, to the crew, yeah, we shine bright. Out the backbone of the night, holding us tight. To the members, true believers, making it real. You're the pulse in our heart, let's do the deal. To the chat, to the crew, yeah, we shine bright. Out the backbone of the night, holding us tight. To the members, true believers, making it real. You're the pulse in our heart, let's do the deal.
We see you dedicated, going the extra mile. Not just watching you invested, that's the style.
Lights on, vibe strong, every show's a hit. Community together, can't take a minute to quit. You keep us going, no watered down vibe. From the chest to the miles, know we thrive. Major respect to the ones who keep it clean. Clean up crew rolling, y'all know what I mean. Don't try it today, they say with a glance. Bringing peace to the chaos, giving us a chance. To the chat, to the crew, yeah, we shine bright. Y'all the backbone of the night, holding us tight. To the members, true believers, making it real. You're the pulse in our heart, let's do the deal. To the chat, to the crew, yeah, we shine bright. You're the backbone of the night, holding us tight. We done this. Just know this is true. We appreciate every single one of you. This is our moment, community's the key. Let's get it poppin', let's set the stream free. So here's to the chat mods and members like, oh, you're the heart of the stream, and that's never getting old. Now let's get into it, yeah, we ride on time. With you by our side, every night's a prime.
Absolutely, man. We're gonna get it out the mud, but we're getting close. We're getting close. You know, we're getting close.
Community's love, wear it like a crown.
Keep this standing, you know. Shout out to the chat, every single one of you. You know, you guys pull up, comment, debate, laugh. Keep this joint alive. You know, the members, the people who go the extra mile, not just watching, y'all are investing in this community, man. Helping people like that. I really appreciate it. So everybody holding it down every single time we go live.
Yeah. Listen up. It's real out here. The ones you trust can make you or break you. You dig? You dig? Yeah.
Some will stretch you, twist you, pull you apart. Got a smile on their face, but they target your heart. Rip your face up with words, cut deep, no scars. You think you know loyalty till they expose who they are. They'll co-sign your dreams and throw you to the wolves. I seen them drag you down, little lies turn to drools. Test your mental, burn you out, that's the game they play. Life is too precious to waste on fakes every day.
Choose your circle wisely, keep it tight, don't let them in. The wrong people will drain you. It's a battle, where to begin? Life given by your honor, don't you let it slide. You're gonna die in a little less cell, no pride, no pride.
Super Bowls passing, holidays come and go. While you stuck in that cell, that clock's moving slow. Frozen reality, that prison ain't just bars, it's a mind game. Psychological scars, don't act tough, keep your circle lit and true. Real ones recognize the grind, see the struggle too. Burn me out, now I'm fueled by the pain. Got a thirst for the win, yeah, I'm bringing the flame. Jail is a battlefield, one wrong move can ruin your game. Stop with high school drama, don't let them put you to shame. Snitch not, loyalty's the code, you know the drill. Pick your comrades wisely, always stay on the real.
Use your circle wisely, keep it tight, don't let them in. The wrong people will drain you, it's a battle, where to begin? Life So keep your circle small, let the real ones surround. Life's too short to get caught up in the fake and the sound. Circle of fire, we rise, we grow, no doubt. Stand tall, stay true, that's what it's about.
Yeah. Listen up. It's real out here. The ones you trust can make you or break you. Yeah. 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 In Somerville streets, the summer breeze blew. Janet down his light, gone too soon. We rule. A mother of four, life cut short in despair. Found in a home, no one seemed to care. 95 was the year, shadowed in pain, with whispers of justice, but it's all in vain. 15-year-old O'Brien caught in the mix, a friend of a son